Hello everyone. Today participants on the screen are Chinese. I'm gonna test a little for the delay time. Nod your head please. About 10 seconds. Okay. Test. Last time those on the screen were Thai. This time people on the screen are Chinese, both in Thailand or in China or all in China. Oh, it's okay. Participants on the screen, be mindful, do not over focus. Sit and relax. If you got disconnected, do not come back. Last time there was one person, he got disconnected, and when he came back the screen changed. So if any one of you got disconnected, do not come back. Sit in a relaxed way and be mindful of yourself. Thai people who are listening right now, practice along with us. Participants on the screen, do not move too much. You can move normally, but like last time when I told them not to move, there was one guy got up and adjusted his camera and the picture. I could not see his face. I could only see the arm. It affected my samadhi. When we practice, sit with mindfulness, with awareness. Do not aim for calmness. Aim for mindfulness or awareness. Do not aim for the mind to be calm or to be good. Stay with your meditation object with a relaxed mind, normal mind. The normal mind is the best. Do not try to adjust the mind to be good. Do not adjust the mind to be like this or like that. Use the normal mind to practice. Anyone who is still focusing, notice your mind. Your mind is heavy and tight. It is not light. It is not natural. Don't expect anything. Don't think that it has to be good. If you want it to be good, it sounds good, but actually there is greed. Greed for the practice to be good, it's a kind of defilement. When we have greed, defilements will push us to adjust the mind to be like this or like that. adjust according to our thought that adjust like this and it's good. Actually, any kind of adjustment is not good. We practice to transcend fabrication or adjustment, but when we practice, we still need to adjust. But how to adjust so that the mind would have the quality that is good and ready for wisdom cultivation. The mind that is ready or has the qualities that is suitable for wisdom cultivation. The mind must be the knower. It must be awake and cheerful. It is quick. It's not lazy. It is not dull. It is not stiff or tight. If we notice our mind, if our mind is dull, if it's tight, if it's without mindfulness or awareness, then that mind is not good. It means we are doing deluded samadhi, or we are controlling our mind. It is without mindfulness. When we practice, do not aim to practice samadhi because we are not skillful at samadhi. Aim to practice mindfulness. Principle. Why I tell you to practice mindfulness and not samadhi? Because according to the teachings, the right mindfulness conditions the right samadhi. If we take a look at the Noble Path, the Eightfold Noble Path, the right mindfulness comes before the right samadhi. If we do not practice mindfulness, the samadhi that we practice, most of the time, it is deluded samadhi. Why? Because the good samadhi, the mind is not possessed by strong defilements like greed, anger, or delusion. If we do not practice mindfulness first, when there's greed, we don't know, and we let the greed possess our mind. It takes control of our mind, influence our mind to do this and that, to adjust our mind to be like this or like that. Sometimes we make the mind dull or sleepy. We want it to be calm, but we don't know how. We don't know that the mind being calm is the result of the correct cause. So we intend to make the mind calm. When we intend to make the mind calm, all of you will just adjust the mind to be dull instead. Most people cannot distinguish between the calm mind and the dull mind. The mind that has the samadhi, the correct samadhi, it contains mindfulness. It doesn't fabricate. It's not dull. It's not blur. It has no delusion. It is without anger. Most people, when they practice, When they want the mind to be good, they control the mind, they oppress the mind. When they control or oppress the mind is stressful. The stressful mind is the mind with anger. So if we do not practice mindfulness first, we would not know when the mind has greed, when the mind has anger, when the mind has delusion. Most of the time, we practice deluded samadhi. We want to practice for the stable, noble mind with mindfulness. We heard the teaching saying that do not send the mind out, or to have mindfulness to know when the mind is out, to have mindfulness to know when the mind is wandering off. This kind of teachings, if you do not mindfulness first, we cannot do it. Because when we hear teaching saying do not send the mind out, we hear it and we do not understand. So we're gonna control the mind not to move. Actually, according to the principle of the good samadhi, of the correct samadhi with the stable knower, just let the mind work naturally. Do not resist the nature of the mind. The mind has the nature to go out to perceive objects through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Do not resist the nature of the mind. Our duty is to practice mindfulness, to be aware of the mind wandering off, to be aware of the mind going through eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and mind. At the beginning, we are not skillful to know when the mind is going out. We cannot know when the mind is moving. Then just practice to move the mind. Move the mind within this body. Those on the screens or at home, let's try. Send your mind to the tip of your nose. Next, send the mind to your left ear. Just think about it, the mind goes already. Next, send the mind to your right arm. Can we notice that the mind can move? So practice like this often. At the beginning, intend to move the mind first. While you are practicing, it is not advised to send your mind outside, out of this body. Practice to move the mind from part to part within this body. Where the perception is, the mind is there. So practice often until you are skillful. Later on, you will be accustomed to it. The mind can remember the phenomena of the moving mind. When the mind moves, the mind will be awakened. The mindfulness will arise. When the mind moves and mindfulness arises, the mind will be awakened and cheerful. At that moment, you already attain the correct samadhi. Many practitioners do not like to practice mindfulness, they like to practice samadhi first. This is not right. It is not right in my opinion. There may be those people who practice samadhi first and they are successful. If they could practice the good samadhi, the correct samadhi. But for most people, if they practice the samadhi first, most of the time it is deluded samadhi. The correct samadhi is the key indicator. It will dictate whether in this lifetime you're gonna attain liberation or not. There are 3 lessons that we need to learn in Buddhism: morality, mind, which is about the correct samadhi, and wisdom cultivation. About morality, there is not much different interpretation among Buddhism in different countries or different sects. It is the rules that we need to follow. It's just that some schools tend to be stricter and some looser. Some schools, they adhere to the format of the morality without understanding the reasons for it. Moralities or precepts are the format to support the wholesome qualities. Rules are created to support the development of virtues. In one aspect, precepts are restrictions to refrain us from doing evil to our body and speech. Is the restriction not to refrain from harming yourself or others. If we have good morality, our wholesome qualities will be better. For example, the first precept, to intend to refrain from killing. If we practice this often, our mind would gradually attain loving kindness towards people and animals. Precept number 2, to refrain from stealing. If we can keep this one well, we will attain one virtue, the virtue of contentment, to be content with what you have. The third precept, to refrain from sexual misconduct. If we can keep this one well, what we're gonna get? We're gonna get the virtue of renunciation. Do not pamper the defilements too much. And the fourth precept about the speech, lying, divisive, abuse speech, idle chatter. If we can keep this one well, we have the virtue of truthfulness and virtue of patience. And the fifth precept, refrain from drinking alcohols or intoxicants. If we can keep this one well, it supports the 4 precepts. the first 4 precepts, and it also support our mindfulness and awareness. Because if we drink alcohol, it destroys our mindfulness and awareness. Each school interpret morality pretty much the same, like not to kill, not to steal. About wisdom cultivation, every school they interpret this pretty much the same. That is, you need to see the states or phenomena, body and mind, fabrication, impermanent suffering, and non-self under the law of the 3 characteristics of existence. There is a point where each schools that they interpret differently is about samadhi. This one is the key indicator. It will dictate why some schools or some people, when they practice, they cannot progress. Most of them, they just adhere to the moral theories. When they practice samadhi, it is either deluded samadhi or the calm samadhi for a rest, for calmness, and to gain mental power. Most of them cannot move forward to the characteristic samadhi with the stable separate knower mind. Samadhi is very broad. Before the Buddha time, everyone practiced samadhi. But at that time, the samadhi that people practiced, it was either deluded samadhi or the samadhi for a rest to gain power, and some even got supernatural abilities. But these things do not lead to liberation. To attain liberation, we need to cultivate wisdom. To cultivate wisdom, we need to attain the stable separate knower mind that is awakening cheerful, or the correct samadhi. It takes time to practice to attain this. And most of the time when we listen to Dhamma talks, it seems like we understand, but when we practice on our own, we practice deluded samadhi, or we just practice the calmness samadhi and we don't even know. We thought we practice the correct samadhi, the knower samadhi, the stable samadhi. We do not practice the stable samadhi. So teacher says that why they listening to teaching about the correct samadhi, the stable samadhi, but they cannot do it. Or sometimes they can do just a little and then they forget. Teacher said because each of us until this life, before we meet the Buddhism, we had been born again and again in this cycle of rebirth. the endless cycle of rebirth. Once in a long while, in this endless cycle of rebirth, Buddhism would arise. When Buddhism arises, then the characteristic samadhi or the correct samadhi with the awake, cheerful, noble mind will occur. Other than that, there is only either deluded samadhi or the calmness samadhi. So we have become accustomed to this samadhi, and so it takes time for practitioners to practice to attain the stable, separate, noble mind, the characteristic samadhi. Who would have thought that fabricating is actually okay if we have the stable, separate, noble mind. The stable, separate, noble mind is not fabricating, but the fabrication is going on. Those who have never experienced this kind of samadhi, first time they experience this, they're gonna be thinking that why there is a lot of fabrication. So for us, it's gonna take quite a long time. We have to pay attention to practice the correct samadhi. But before this, we need to practice mindfulness first. Like we hear teacher says, the mind with the correct samadhi, it is without greed, anger, or delusion. If we have never practiced the mindfulness, we don't know the mind with greed, anger, delusion, how it's like. Or when the mind is stressful, we don't know. Or say that do not control. If we have never practiced mindfulness, we don't know that we are controlling. Many of you have listened the Dhamma teaching saying that do not let the mind being lost or do not overfocus. For the mind being lost is easy to understand. But about overfocusing, do not control, do not adjust. Many people, when they report their practice to the teacher, they are pointed that they are over focusing, they are maintaining, they are adjusting, and we don't know. Why we don't know? Because the phenomena that happen at the current moment, if we do not practice mindfulness, we cannot know. So practice mindfulness a lot. You can be mindful of the body, you can be mindful of the mind. The body is sitting, aware of the body sitting. Use the normal mind. Just think about it. The body is standing, walking, lying down. Just be aware of it. The body is moving, turning left and right, nodding. Be mindful of it. keep being aware of the body moving until the mind can remember the phenomena of the body moving. When the mind can remember, the mindfulness will arise. When the mindfulness arises, the correct samadhi will arise. Like we practice to see the mental states, the mind has anger, practice to see. The mind is without anger, practice to see. The mind is with greed or without greed, practice to see. The mind is with delusion or without delusion, practice to see. The mind is with fabrication or without fabrication, practice to see. The mind is dull or it is not dull, practice to see. Until the mind can remember this phenomena of the body or the mental states, or the mind remember the feelings. The body is happy, practice to know it. Suffering, practice to know it. The mind is happy or suffering or neutral, practice to know it. When these phenomena arise, mindfulness will arise. When the automatic mindfulness arises, meaning we practice until the mind can remember the mental and physical phenomena precisely. When this phenomena arise, mindfulness will arise automatically without greed or intention for the mindfulness to arise. The correct samadhi will arise at that moment. So I would like to invite all of you to practice mindfulness a lot. Teacher says that to practice like this, it's too broad. There are so many phenomena. So normally our teacher suggests to practice with the phenomena that happen a lot. That is the mind being lost in thought. So to summarize, practice with your meditation object. You can chant a mantra or feel the body moving. You have home base for the mind, but do not over focus at it. Just be aware of it in a relaxed way. And the mind, which has the nature of thinking, soon it will escape to think. It will be lost in thought. Master Kam Kien used the word still to think. It means that we do not intend to think, but it goes to think by itself. When the mind escapes to think, we just be aware of it, that the mind is lost in thought. When we can be aware of the mind being lost in thought, the mind will be awakened. The correct samadhi will arise. Why teacher summary like this? Because we don't have to practice a lot. We just practice have a practice with our meditation object, like chanting Buddha. Actually, you can chant anything. It doesn't even have to relate to Buddhism. It's just the words that your mind likes to be with, and it doesn't arouse defilements. Use the relaxed mind and chant. Soon the mind will escape to think. Then be mindful of the mind being lost in thought. Practice often until the mind can remember the phenomena of the mind being lost in thought or the mind wandering out. If the mind can remember this phenomena precisely because we practice often, our mindfulness will be quicker and quicker. The mind lost in thought just a little, it knows already. The mind moves a little, it knows already. Whatever phenomena arise, it knows already. The mindfulness arises already without intention. This means that we practice mindfulness. When we practice mindfulness, we are aware of the mind being lost. We are aware of the phenomena that arise at that current moment. The result is we're gonna attain the correct samadhi. So practice these two things, and then we're gonna get to practice mindfulness and also practice the correct samadhi altogether at the same time. So keep practicing, you're gonna attain more and more of the correct samadhi. Those with wisdom, having heard of the Dhamma teaching about wisdom, they might be able to realize that the mind with awareness or the mind being lost, it is not under our control. If the mind has this aspect, it means that we can cultivate wisdom from this same practice. We can see the anatta or non-self. The mind gonna be lost or gonna be moving away, or is gonna know it is not under our control. Then we get to practice the insight meditation. We get to see the three characteristics in the aspect of non-self. Or we can see that the thinking mind rise and fall, the fabricating mind rise and fall, the stable mind rise and fall. This means that we cultivate wisdom in the aspect of anicca or impermanent. We can see that both types of mind rise and fall. There is no state or phenomena that lasts forever. So practice just this, then you would get to practice both mindfulness and the correct samadhi, and also cultivate wisdom. Teachers say if we can practice just this is enough to attain liberation. If we can capture the principle of this, we will find that actually it is not much for us to practice. There are so much of Dhamma teachings, but if we can grasp the principle of the teaching today and practice with determination and perseverance, our wholesome qualities will be developed. So keep your precepts and practice with your meditation object, and when the mind is lost, just know so. Then you get to practice mindfulness, correct samadhi, and cultivate wisdom. The lost mind is impermanent. The fabricating mind is impermanent. The knower mind is impermanent, and they are not under our control. To practice just this, it is the practice that aim into the heart of the practice. It contains correct mindfulness, correct samadhi, and also it cultivates wisdom at the same time. And actually we can use this practice for every level, from non-noble persons to noble persons, level first, second, third, until the end of suffering. Like from the non-returner practice to the end of suffering to Arahant, he needs to see this truth, the truth that the mind is impermanent, it is suffering, and it is non-self. It is being pierced or under oppression again and again. See the mind, see the suffering of the mind or any aspect of the three characteristics. If he can see it thoroughly, he can let go of the mind. So just this practice, everyone can practice from the non-noble persons to noble persons of every level. It is difficult. Actually, it is not difficult. Because the home base, the meditation objects could be anything, could be mantra, and the mantra doesn't have to relate to Buddhism. It doesn't have to be Buddha. It could be anything that we chant and our mind likes it. If you like green tea, we can chant green tea, green tea, green tea. If you chant green tea and your mind is relaxed and happy, then just chant green tea. Soon the mind will forget green tea. It will think something else like black tea, coffee, this and that. When the things that occur in your mind is not green tea, it means that you are lost in thought already. Like you chant green tea, and soon you hear the thought saying, is this correct or not? Actually, you are lost in thought already because you forget green tea already. Or you chant green tea, and then you hear your thought saying, why is it tight? Am I over focusing? At that moment, you are lost in thought already. You forget green tea already. So, any fabrication or words in your mind, whenever it is not green tea, it means you are lost in thought already. When you're walking and then, oh, so tired. If the word tired occur in your mind, it means that you are lost in thought already. Oh, so bored. Why I don't practice well today? All this, if it happen in your mind, it means that we are lost in thought already. We forget our meditation objects already. We can also use our body movement. Like we have a handheld fan, we keep fanning. Be aware of the body moving, and soon we're gonna forget the body moving. It is not aware of the body moving. It means that it forget the home base already. It forget the body already. It is lost already. That's it. It's easy. Is it easy? Easy or not, you need to practice. There is no free thing. Do not use a lot of meditation objects. Do not have many home bases. There are many Dhamma teachings, but if we're gonna be practice well, we need to grasp the principle and practice just a little. For example, the mind has anger, know that the mind has anger. The mind is without anger, know that the mind is without anger. Just practice with this pair is enough. The mind is fabrication, no so. The mind is dull, no so. Just practice with this pair is enough. The mind is greedy, the mind is not greedy, no so. Just practice this pair is enough. The mind is with delusion or without delusion, no so. Just practice this pair is enough. If we don't like all this, we can use our body movement. Just use any of this and know the phenomena. Many people, they practice with a lot of meditation objects. Like in the morning, they chant Buddha. At noon, they chant Metta Kunang. And in the evening, they chant Iti Piso Bhagava. And at night, they use the fan. They have so many meditation objects. You're not gonna be good at it. Those who practice with one meditation object with perseverance, with determination, there is more chance for them to succeed. Why? Those who can do everything, they're not good at anything, like a duck. It can walk on land. It can be in the water. It can fly. It's not good at flying. It doesn't run fast. It cannot be in the water all the time. So practice to be skillful with just one meditation object. Then you're gonna be successful. In China, there are so many kung fu schools like Shaolin, Wutang, Mei, Kunlun. So many. Each school, like Shaolin, has many kung fu styles. When we choose, okay, we choose Shaolin. We're gonna go to Shaolin. When we go to Shaolin, we do not learn every kung fu styles of Shaolin. If we learn all the kung fu style, when we go on a fight, we're gonna be dead because we're not gonna be good at anything. Just practice with one kung fu style, and then we go on a fight. There's a chance for you to survive. So if we practice everything, it's no good. Those who practice without patience, what is their nature? Their nature is that in the morning they chant Buddha for 3 days and then they change. They change to Metta Kunang Arahang Metta, and then they chant for 3 days and then they feel it's not good again. And they change. Let's chant Iti Piso. And they keep changing. And they're not gonna be good at anything. You know why? Because each meditation object, whether it is suitable for you or very good, when you practice with it, your samadhi gonna be good sometimes and gonna be bad sometimes. So it is advised that choose one meditation object that you can practice that is quite suitable for you, and the mind is not stressful, and you can be mindful of it, and practice with determination and perseverance, and practice patiently. Even though you can practice well or you cannot practice well sometime, do not change it. If we practice with just one meditation object and we practice patiently, we will gradually learn that a meditation object, you practice with it for about a year or 2 years, your samadhi gonna be good sometimes and no good the other time. It is not under our control. We practice with one meditation for 3 months and change again and again. We're gonna have a misunderstanding that we can choose, that we can control it. And finally, you're gonna search for the meditation objects that when you practice and your mind is getting better. Actually, whatever meditation object, if you practice correctly, it is all the same. You're gonna gain mindfulness and the correct samadhi, and the mind gonna be the awakening cheerful knower. At one point, you will be able to see the truth that we cannot command it. The mind that knows the meditation object is impermanent. Sometimes it is lost, sometimes it knows, sometimes it forgets. All meditation objects is the same. It's not like if you know this one and then the mind gonna be permanent, and you know this one, the mind gonna be lost. It's not like that. So just choose one and stick with it, and finally you will be skillful at it, and all the wholesome qualities will be developed. Because we get to practice mindfulness, samadhi, and get to see the 3 characteristics. Everything is impermanent. You get to see that your samadhi, sometimes it is good, sometimes it is not good. You gain patience because you have to be patient to practice with determination and perseverance. It is not easy for people these days, because one drawback of the people these days is that they are not patient. They want to succeed quickly. Their nature is they try to find what is the meditation object or practice that they're gonna succeed quickly. Like these days, communication is so quick, so well, environment is so good, so it can't fulfill our defilements quickly. When we eat fast food because it is fast. When the internet is slow, we suffer already. We are not patient. We cannot wait for anything. So this convenience kind of arouse our defilements, arouse our fabrication and craving, anger, greed, and it makes us impatient. These things but it can be helped because we grow up in this environment. Like this generation of Chinese, they are born to they are not paid. They are not like the Chinese that came here 50 years ago, that they have to be very patient to save money. But this new generation, they are born to rich family, so they never have to be patient to save money. To you can't compare with your parents or your ancestors. Actually, the child are the same. Those who are born to a rich family, their nature is that they are not patient with difficulties because they have money. Whatever they want, they buy. They are so happy. They are accustomed to pamper their defilements. We don't feel that it is harmful. It is not harmful at the level of living happily in this world, but it makes many of us weak. Our mind is fickle. We want to succeed quickly. When we study in the world or in the Dhamma, you try to find a way or try to search for something that you learn, and then you're gonna succeed quickly, get rich quickly. When you practice, you're gonna search for the meditation object that you're gonna succeed quickly, attain liberation quickly. In reality, in my opinion, nothing is quicker than this. We teach you to practice just a little, but it is slow because we do not practice with determination and perseverance. We keep changing the meditation object. So let's take a look upon ourselves. When we're gonna train for our mind to gain power, we must not pamper defilements. When we train for the wholesome qualities, like we're gonna do the giving or donation, sometimes we have to resist our defilement. The objective of giving is to reduce the stinginess. When we want to keep our precept, someone insult you, we have to be patient not to say anything back. We need to train to get out of this sensual pleasure. If we indulge in sensual pleasure, our mind will be weak. If we do not practice to be patient, we will be weak. We say something, we do not keep our word. We don't have truthfulness. We are fickle. We change our mind all the time. We intend not to surf internet for 3 days, but half a day we surf internet already. It means that we don't have the virtue of truthfulness. We pamper our defilements, and this make our mind weak. Those who can pass all this, those who can transcend the world, there is one important factor. You have to have the strong mind, the willpower to win all temptations. Have the power to resist the defilements. Be patient. Do not pamper defilements. To develop our mind, to gain more wholesome qualities or virtues. Like we want to train for the loving kindness, we have to practice not to get angry. If we practice until we attain equanimity, we must have quite a good level of mindfulness and wisdom. Let's analyze ourselves, our behavior, that we pamper the defilements all the time. We're gonna see that our way of life, it leads to the weakness of the mind. So just reflect upon ourselves, the point where we indulge and it makes us weak. Just practice. All the virtues are the factors that will make our mind strong. Those with strong mind, they have determination and patience to practice until they succeed. So the Dhamma that I teach today contains mindfulness, morality, mindfulness, correct samadhi, and wisdom cultivation. Which of these can be done by practice with one meditation object and be mindful that when the mind is lost. And go observe yourself, like how much we pamper our defilements. We pamper and nurture our defilements, and they become stronger, and then they take control of our life. Let's see how we're gonna practice ourselves so our mind will be stronger and stronger. These kind of things no one can teach or point out for you. We need to observe ourselves, reflect upon ourselves, and develop ourselves. Remember, this path is the path of the strong one. With determination and perseverance, there is no free thing. It's not that you're gonna practice few days and you're gonna succeed. Buddhism is about actions and effort. There is no free thing. You have to put effort into it. That is all for today. Anumodana everyone.